My name is Louise Juhl Hansen, and I am working with the MHPSS Collaborative in Copenhagen, hosted by Save the Children Denmark. And I would like to say a very warm welcome to everybody for the launch of the Child Storytelling Workshop Guidance. Today is a really, really special day. This resource has been underway for a long time. I am the co-author with Dr. Lynn Jones, and it has been an absolute privilege to be part of this project, to learn from Lynn, and not least to learn from the people from UNICEF and Save the Children in Bosnia-Herzegovina who helped us shape this guideline for a workshop that does something really special for children on the move. It gives a space to share things. It gives a space to talk to trusted adults and to let the people see the world as they see it. And that has been a big privilege to be part of. So I want to go over to Lynn and Hosan, who have Lynn Jones is the mastermind behind this workshop, and she will talk with Hosan Jackal about how it came about and how examples of how it's been used. Then we will go to Maya Andrich from Save the Children, who has been part of the pilot for this guideline that was done in Bosnia-Herzegovina a few years back. And at the end, Anne Wilhoit and I will talk a little bit about the guideline itself and how it fits into the broader picture of resources for MHPSS for children, youth, and families. So, Lynn, I will pass to you.
Okay, I want to tell the group because I think it's really important for people to understand that things don't start in an organized manual. They usually begin with, in my experience, organically in the field. And I had no idea I was going to do a photography storytelling workshop. And I met this young man making a silent, very dignified protest at Idomeni on the Macedonian-Greek border back in 2016, because he a law student in Damascus who, because of the danger he was in there, left for the Lebanon, became involved in psychosocial work in the Lebanon, but it was crowded and unsafe there. So he then went to Greece at a point when he crossed that border, and he got all the way there to be told thousands of others, well, Damascus is perfectly safe, you can go home. So he started a silent protest. And what I want to ask you, meanwhile, this was an enormous informal encampment of families and children and people. As you can see, the children were playing. So Hussam, how did you move from being a silent protester on the border of Macedonia to doing psychosocial activities with children in the camp?
Actually, this is what I used to do in Lebanon after I went also as a refugee. I fled from the war in Syria. I was in Lebanon making psychosocial support to the children for 2 years. And then I decided just to make my future and come to Europe. But then I get stuck at the border, and then where I saw there is the children, the daily life of children. It's standing in the queue to have a sandwich after two hours or something like this. There is no attention for the children. There is nothing to play with or replace also. That's how we started. So I will talk about the camp briefly. It was a family refugee camp on the north of Greece. It's after they evacuated the border, the Macedonian borders. It was full of families, but then it's the UNHCR team who invited me to go to this family camp where I could continue working there.
Hussam, tell us
Okay,
how
so,
the camps, how the families felt about doing a photography project.
so it's all started when we were organizing in the camp many activities. We were like a team of refugees. And then when actually I felt that I needed more help, and I remember that I met Len at the border, so I asked her to come to the camp, and she immediately came, and she had this idea of making child storytelling. So the great thing about it, like for sure at the beginning, all the families accepted. The children, they were so happy because yes, today there is mobile phones. Many children can take photo or videos with the film, with the mobile phone. But in this workshop, you are giving a responsibility first. The child, he is learning about manual cameras to use, and also its responsibility, because there is a certain time, like 3 to 4 hours, that they should take the cameras and not give it to anyone, and not filming anyone without taking his permission. So here he is learning values of asking, of taking responsibility of camera. For sure, we had some problems like we didn't know before. Once there is the army, the army who is securing this camp, they came to us and they were not happy that the children, they were filming them. And we remember that we did not tell the children that it's not allowed to film police or army or. So it's so we took the consent of the parents for sure. And the children, they really loved this project. They were so happy about it. They wanted to take hundreds of photos. And they were really showing the nice memories they have of their country by taking the new photos in the camp, what reminds them of their homes, back homes, what they like about, for example, some of them, they took photos just for their families, because this is the most what they like in this world, just the family. Others, they took photo for trees because it's reminding them their homes in Syria. So it was a very beautiful project that gives a lot. And I remember what was the most beautiful thing. It was the last day when all the workshop have finished, and we made a nice evening with all the families to put on a projector all the photos that the children took, and also a small video. And the children, they were so proud of what they have done. It's the first time where they took photos, they printed the photos, they keep them as, they choose actually what they like from these photos, and they explain why they like them. So it was so interesting as a project. I think Len, she can also share with us more.
Okay, well, I mean, I learned so much from doing the project in the camp, much of which has gone into the manual. Number one is, we had very clear rules, as Hussam said, about holding your camera, sharing it. The organizers, UNHCR, bless their soul, said, you're going to give children cameras? You'll never get them back. We did not, and I've done this project in 4 countries. I have never lost a camera. And children always bring the cameras back. They didn't hold on to them. They didn't steal them. They didn't break them. So we had rules about cameras. We've had very strict consenting process, because some of the families, when we went around, said, I'm not keen that my wife with her hijab should be taken or whatever. Children learned to ask consent, even to film consent. And then when the photos were taken, we went round again to ask every single person, if a child chose to exhibit that photo, couldn't be exhibited without the subject consent. So we had participation consent, subject consent. It's absolutely vital. And then the third thing is, which we did not think about, it's really important for UNICEF, is safety, in the sense that, you know, the military and the police seem like quite nice guys, and I didn't have that rule. Do not photograph people in uniform. The second thing that happened was that one night there was a major fight between ethnic groups. It happens in camps. And of course, children were little journalists. They were running around taking pictures. So, no, you do not photograph fights, arguments, people in military. And I think this applies anywhere you're doing the project. It's really important. So we were making things up as we went along. We were learning as we went along. And the other thing I learned is how easy it was to do storytelling when you give children a pic, you know, they've got 100 pictures, choose the one you want to show. Okay, why do you love this picture? Why do you want to show it? And words poured out. I never pushed children for more than they wanted to say, but they always had a reason, and the words were amazing. And the stories to me are as lovely as the pictures and just as important. And when children read those stories out in the show, and I saw this in BHatch, I saw it in Belize, people really reacted and enjoyed it. So I don't know, I just took some a little quiz, I was frozen. Is there anything, Hussam, I should cover?
No, I think you mentioned everything.
Okay, so what I can't show you is the pictures are on a website called migrantchildstorytelling.com. I'll share the slides with you later. It's a heavy PowerPoint, that's why I handed it to another organizer to send, but you can see all the pictures on that website, and that website also has the Bosnia pictures, the Belize pictures. Anyone who does this project and lacks a website place to put them, feel free to write to us and use that, because Lovely Luke I created this website, still going. So that's great. And it's a resource, thank you, a resource available to you. I'd like, if I have a minute, because I've got confused with time, Louise.
You have a couple of minutes, and then we will have a few
just
minutes
to use
for
my
questions.
last 2 minutes, I want, you know, this, I always tell this story, and forgive me if any of you here who've heard it before, and it's in my TED talk as well, but it's amazing to me because it's something this project means to me. I was worried the children got mobiles. Why would we want cameras? They love the cameras. And we had one child called Abdo who he loved it so much, he did bring his camera back, but he wanted to be in every group. He wanted to go on taking pictures. He wanted to be in every storytelling group and listen to the children telling stories. He wouldn't sit still. He was everywhere you didn't want him. But when it came to his chance to choose, he sat down and he chose. And then when Dahlia, my wonderful speaking interpreter, said, all right, why this picture? The words just poured out. And they were on the last slide, and I'm going to share some of them with you because COP28, I hope you're listening, and everyone else, this is a 9-year-old Syrian refugee child. I love trees so much. I couldn't get the full picture of this one. I like this tree the most though. It's the most beautiful. It looks like a painting. It's pointy at the top, a perfect tree. And I also asked the tree permission to take a picture, and she said yes. It reminds me of the greenery in Ladkia. There was a tree that looked like this one, and I loved it. So when I saw it, they've been through everything and have seen it all. They've seen refugees from all over the world. They've witnessed our lives. I feel safe when I'm around it. Nature is good to us and cares for us. And trees don't die till someone harms them. However long they live, the tree sees everything and never forgets. Every leaf protects you, so every time you pick a leaf, you'll be punished. Each leaf was born for a purpose, has past and a story. For every refugee, a new leaf grows. It protects us from the sun. The prophet, this tree is the source of strength in the camp. It's a 9-year-old boy. We read his story. He was sitting quietly at the front of the audience. And what happened to Sam when we read it?
Yeah, he was feeling, he had a very red face, everyone because was cheering for him.
And the audience just stood to their feet and cheered and cheered. It was amazing. And Hussam, did you say you felt this activity of this show actually brings you together? Did you mention that?
Yeah, actually, yes, this last night they brought, because in this camp there was different communities. There was Syrians, there was Kurd, there was different really nations, and it brought them together. It made them more close together at the end of this day when they saw like they are sharing the same memories, the same experience, all of them. So it was really amazing to see that.
And they saw their pictures, their children pictures of, and I love this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hussein and Lynn, for creating this and for helping us bring it into the world in a more manualized way. We have a few minutes if there are questions from the audience. I'm sure that Lynn and Hussein would love to answer any questions. You can please write it in the chat.
What age range? I've done different. So there we focused on 8 to 12. I think you need to divide children up. You can't have 8 to 16 because they have totally different approaches to the camera and different needs. So 8 to 12 to me is a wonderful group. Under 8, it depends on your children, it might be a bit difficult with the cameras. And then I've also, I'm sure Anna will talk about, Maya will talk about this, we had a teenage group in Bosnia, and I've done a teenage group with UNHCR in Belize. So it depends on what the demand is, but we chose 8 to 12-year-olds in Greece. It's a lovely age to work with. Consent process. Basically, we've got a very simple form. I think it's been slightly adapted for the manual. We sit down. Hussam, how did you talk about consent with the families?
Some of them, they were the family, they were concerned about the security issues in Syria, like who will see the photos, who will where they will be. So we had to explain everything. And also, like, if there is no approval from them, there is no photo will be taken or published all the time. So it was like really going so easy with, there is a very just few families who said like, okay, I don't want my picture to be in. So we did not put their photo. It was so easy.
But a very important process, and especially that follow-up after the pictures have been taken. It's not just verbal consent, ask permission. You go and say, this is a picture we're going to exhibit on the web in the show.
Yeah.
And they can say, no, you can't do it. And then we do. And we say to the child, choose another picture. The foundational skills and connecting to different subjects. Maya's going to talk more about the different ways projects being used, which is lovely, connecting with history in Bosnia. Absolutely loved it. In England, I'm developing it as a nature photography project. There's a paper available on that. I'm happy to share. So there we have a nature focus. It really depends where you are and what you want to do. I think this project can be taken in so many ways.
I just want to say one thing in connection with consent that I noticed when I was doing interviews with both with Lynn and with Maya and people from Maya's team. The consent process, as I hear it, is also sometimes a very important point of contact between the school or the safe space, you know, where the workshop takes place and the families. That sometimes it's the first point of direct contact between staff and volunteers on one side and the families on the other. So there's also there's just a lot of intrinsic value in the consent process, in making connections, in teaching the children about consent, and of course the whole safeguarding, making sure that that people are not put in dangerous or uncomfortable situations through this. So there are really a lot of layers to consent.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So Maya, thank you. Maya Andrich from Save the Children. You were part of creating a workshop in Bosnia-Herzegovina with Lynn a few years ago, and your experiences and the experiences of your team form the foundation of a lot of the things that are in this guideline, because we've tried to pick it apart and see where are the challenges, what are the things that you need to remember. So way back from the first workshop that was talked about, we need to tell the children not to take photos of the police and the military, and down to nitty-gritty details such as SD cards, memory cards for the cameras. We try to put all of that in. So that's part of the guideline. But that's not the nitty-gritty that you will be talking about, I guess, Maya, because we've invited you to talk a little bit about how it has been for you and your team to work with this workshop in Bosnia-Herzegovina. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'll leave you to speak.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm Maya Andrić, Education Program Lead for Save the Children Northwest Balkans. It was interesting process for every one of us, including, I believe, Lynn and all staff members, myself, and children, and parents, I have to say. Basically, first to talk about the contents form, it's something that's really important. And as a first step, after having a meeting with Lynn and agreeing about the guidelines and timeline and everything, Lynn provided us with very important procedures about the workshops with children, about the process itself, how we are going to do, what is the goal of workshops, where do we go from there. We basically transmitted the informations of our culture mediators to the parents. First, that parents are aware about what we are going to do with children. And then we had the separate sessions for the children. Basically a small workshops where we explained what it will be happening in next few days. So to not enter in all details, what was important, it's not just that like the forms that Save the Children are having, that parents signing and children signing for their agreement. It's very much important, as Lynn mentioned, to explain that those photos will be published, that those photos will be accessible. We needed not just for the participation for the workshops itself, but we needed also the forms in the end for the photos that children and we choose together to be exposed at itself. So it was interesting very much. I will not repeat what Lynn said, but we were really surprised that no camera was broken or stolen. Nothing happened. Everybody was a little bit shaking about that. What will happen? The first part was done in the camp itself. So children went around the camp. We gave them for 24 hours cameras. Not just one day, but not just for a few hours, 24 hours. So they took in the camp, because we are taking children to the schools. Children also took cameras into schools. So they made photos in the schools. You will see later, we will show you one of those photos. The children were so much excited. And the one of the, I would say, the the challenge is it was always to translate everything in those workshops, instructions in many languages. It was not just one language, because children were coming from 5, 6 countries and speaking different languages. That's always very challenging to give exactly the right and same instruction to each child. So children, took photos, and they were so happy to learn how to use photos. They were so happy and excited that they can tell their own story. That's all process was very much important, because they can express themselves. They can say their own stories, and stories that are behind them, but stories that are also they are living now, and the stories or their expectations, what they expect in the lives in the future. And for them, this was very, very important moment, that they have opportunity in such unusual way to express themselves, to talk about it, and to share with others. That's for those children, is in such situations is very much important that they show that they share this with others. Can you move on the next slide? I will just refer these photos that you see. This is photos. It's took in the camp. It's photo of the father of the child. Can you move on the next photo, please? Yeah, this is, no, please back. Yeah, this is usually the way where we are taking them to the school, and it's a stadium where we are having from time to time with them also some sports activities, and the children usually in those situations are not so much familiar with the local communities, with the country where they came. They don't know where is that even geographically. They know that it's somewhere in the Europe. So for us was very important that we use opportunity one more time to make the local community closer to the children through this project. So we decide to have one more additional exercise with them, not just 24 hours, the cameras around camp or in the school. We took them outside of the camp in the town, where is the camp based, in town Bihać. It's on the north part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And our colleague, who is a history professor, took them around through the town to show the main historical place in the town, the main places where the people are gathering, the galleries, some historic places linked with some events from the history. Can you move another photo, please? And also we took them in the park near the beautiful river. So children, it was important for them to know that this town is having a beautiful river, but also we took opportunity to explain to children that this river is very, very dangerous. They cannot come alone, they cannot come close. It was part of our child safeguarding, yeah. So those instructions were very important for them. Children were really excited, and it was almost 2 hours of walking through the town. You can move for the next photo. Can you move next, please? Yeah, this is the photo. That's one boy who was going for 3 years in the school in Bosnia and Herzegovina, took with his classmates. He was very happy, as you can see, and he wanted to have this photo as a very much important part of his life. The thing is that through this walk to the town, from the camp to the school and around historical part, children heard about the life in the town where they are, about the culture, about the habits of citizens who are living there, about the food, what people like to eat. So this was all very much important for their current situation where they were living, and also in the school meeting the local children from community so that they can better understand each other. The whole process was very exciting for them. Yeah, we told them to choose from all those photos, from the camp, from schools, from the town, they had to choose 3 the best photos to tell their story. The important part in this whole process is to explain to children that while taking photos, those photos will help the others who don't speak their language also to understand them, but also to those who are not familiar with their country, to understand better their culture. So some of photos were taken together with in the camp with the families, showing some heritage from their own country, but some photos were taken locally, like this one. So for children, what was an easy process to choose the photos what they like, but the whole idea was that we have the exhibition of those photos in the camp together with everyone. And that was really exciting moments because children, we didn't just show photos, children told their own stories in the camps. And it was very moving for everyone to see all of those stories, to see all those photos and all those to hear all those stories, but also it was important somehow for child to be heard, not just from the members of their family, but to be heard from us who are working with them, to be heard from the people in the camp where they do live at current moment. Can you move on the next photo, please? To be seen as someone who is also creative and someone who has something to say. And for me, this part of expressing, giving opportunity for children to express them through those stories, photo stories, is telling that it's very, very important to give them such tools as this one, and yeah, give them their time to live at the moment and enjoy and laugh, but in the same time to tell the stories that are really hard for them, and the stories that they are carrying with themselves. Later on, we had one more exhibition. I don't know, Lynn, if you know, we had an exhibition in the town basically organized. also for the events. And also later on, we bought some cameras. Save the Children bought some cameras. So yeah, we had few exercise with children also telling their stories to photos, but on the lower scale than it was when you were there as follow-up. We did that.
I just want to say, I really thank Maya for developing this connection to community part, because it was a whole dimension we hadn't thought of. And it brought the town together because the children loved the history. They weren't told what to photograph, but they were so interested in the town when it was explained to them, taking pictures of Ottoman graves and then ordinary apartment blocks. This is where people live, or the river, what a beautiful park. And they were just learning about their community. And then the town, which I didn't have came to the show and was so interested that the children were interested in their town. So we got this lovely bonding, which led to the town exhibition that you organized, and a feeling that maybe you didn't have to climb the mountains to Croatia every night. Perhaps you could stay here. You know, there was just, it was very interesting. Thank you, Maya. Thank you for that whole aspect of it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You. Yeah.
Thank you, Maya. I'm sure that there are questions. So we open the floor for questions. And while people are typing, I have a question. So we've talked about how these workshops have benefits for the children, how it's wonderful to hear them share. But does it also have benefits for the staff and volunteers in the center, in the schools? Can you say a little bit about that, Maya?
Yeah, for sure. It was very much benefit for the staff. Staff were really excited, like children, I can say, to participate in all this process with Lean, and they learned a lot. Those are also additional skills that are important for staff to have it when they are working directly with children. This gave opportunity also to the staff to even know better children, to have another way also of as a part of non-formal activities with children, to get know better them, and also give to them this sense of importance of to work with children in the way that they are having real tools to express themselves. So this is very child-centered activities that is very, very important to have when you are running programs like education in emergency for migrant and refugee children in the camps. You need to have such tools that allows the staff to grow up, but also allows to build a deeper relationship between the staff and the children in the terms of better understanding of child needs. From another side, I forgot to mention, parents were also very, very much excited about this, and they liked the idea. Yeah, they were same. They were always cautious about what will happen, to be careful where the children taking photos or not to take photos of. We informed children to not take photos of the other people in the camp, also because we explained why. So yeah, but parents generally, they were very happy, especially in the end with the exhibition. Parents were very supportive and happy that also they can see what was the work of their children.
Thank you so much. So I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. So thank you very much, Maya, for coming, and much more for helping create this resource and for doing the workshops with your children, with not your children, but
It's all our children.
it's all our children. Yes. And thank you for sharing your experiences. All of the pictures that Maya has shown today are in the guideline, including the story that the child told to accompany the picture. So if you want to see the words of the child behind those pictures that you've seen today, please have a look at the guideline. And then we will move to the next bit. Can we have the next slide, please? So I will keep talking. So what you see here is the child storytelling workshop guidance that we have developed with UNICEF and Save the Children in Bosnia and Herzegovina and Lynn and the MHPSS collaborative. And a special thank you to UNICEF for supporting this work throughout, both financially and with reviewing and inputting and making sure that we get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. Can I have the next slide, please? So my bit is going to be the housekeeping bit, because when you create a workshop like this, it sounds very simple. Give the kids a camera, ask them to go out and take photos, talk to them about the photos, and make an exhibition of the photos, and invite their families and the community, and that's it. So it's a very simple concept. But when you start peeling away the layers, it turns out that there are actually quite a lot of moving parts. And that's what we've tried to get into a manualized form, because everybody that I've talked to who has made, who's done workshops like these have run into, oh, we didn't think about the fact that we're not allowed to put nails in the walls in the exhibition hall. So how are we going to hang the pictures when for the exhibition? Where do we get them printed? How many cameras do we need? What else do we need to think about for the cameras? Could we use phones? What about consent forms? We already talked about that. What about security and safeguarding and all of these things? So we've tried to invent the wheel once and for all, or at least give the people who will be using this workshop the bits that they need to make the wheel. So the guidance is talks about what you need to do to prepare for the workshop, including budget considerations, the nitty-gritty of carrying out the workshop, a little bit about the picture choosing and the storytelling and how you go about that, letting the children speak but not pressuring them to speak, keeping children safe, how to prepare for the exhibition and the celebration. And then we also have a section about measuring and evaluating the benefits. So this is just not a one-off thing that you do, but something that you can integrate into your programming, and you can and you can do M&E with it. These workshops and the outcomes of the workshops can also become a very powerful advocacy tool, and I know that Lynn has used it actively for advocacy. And then at the end there's a bunch of annexes with sample consent forms and useful resources, and we've tried to provide as much as possible. So so the workshop is as plug and play as possible, and I hope people will find it useful, and I really hope that that it will be used around the world in different settings, working with children, because I think it's an amazing resource. That's it for me, and I will hand over to Anne Vilreuth from UNICEF, who has been supporting us throughout this whole process, and we'll talk a little bit about the wider context of this resource. Thank you. Over to you, Anne.
Great. Thanks so much, Louise. So I am going to just share something quickly as well. Okay, so just so people can think about where this particular activity fits into the larger MHPSS space, because we know that we're all providing multi-layered, multifaceted MHPSS activities at the same time. And so when we're thinking about where the Child Storytelling Project fits, we really see it, if we're thinking about it from the minimum service package perspective, we're seeing it as activity 3.4, which is supporting community-led MHPSS activities. And I wanted to mention this especially because it's helpful to think about it, where it fits in the larger space, but also because it shows that we are really hoping that this is a multi-sectoral activity as well. And this particular activity should be implemented by almost all sectors can be doing this. So we saw how it could be, we saw some of the pictures of it taking place in classrooms. It's very commonly done within the child protection space, and especially, I think, helpful to think of it as an activity that can happen in child-friendly spaces. Often we are getting questions about, well, what do we actually do in child-friendly spaces to make sure that the support we're providing is specifically MHPSS. This is a great package to implement in a child-friendly space, and can happen in community-based MHPSS programming and health sector as well. So just to kind of note that it would be lovely if this was owned across all sectors. And then I saw a question in the chat as well about if we're measuring the impact, and this is what we're really hoping for as this guide keeps going. So we've included in the guide process indicator suggestions and impact indicator suggestions that align with the common M&E framework, the ISC MHPSS common M&E framework. So these of course are suggestions, and we've included some quick guidance on potential ways that you can collect this information through qualitative and quantitative approaches. But we could be looking then at the number of children participating and the number of service providers supervised. But then the impact, probably more to the tune of what we want to show, is the percentage of children who report or demonstrate improvement in their well-being. And that could all, that could be through focus groups as well. And so that might get to some of the questions that were asked in the chat. And then percentage of service providers trained to show improved knowledge. And so those are some suggestions. There are obviously lots of other ways to be measuring this, but I think that's some of the added things that we put in the package just to kind of figure out how it connects to the broader MHPSS space, and how you could take it forward in showing that it actually works. So that's all from me, actually. I wanted to be quick and sweet. So would love to see if we have any more questions, and happy to answer them.
While we're waiting for answers or questions, I will just point you to where you can find the resource. It's on the MHPSS Collaborative website. It's also part of the MSP, I think, Anne?
It's in there, yeah, I think so.
It's in there, yeah. And then I want to point you towards the migrantchildstorytelling.org website, which is the website Lynn mentioned, that collects pictures and stories from workshops all over the world. It's a wonderful resource and it's amazingly inspiring. So my warmest recommendation. We have a question.
I see a question from Victor about plans to roll it out. So it's been, as you know, Victor, long awaited by lots of people. And so I know already there are people who are taking this and planning to run with it in UNICEF community offices anyway. And so while we don't have global funding at the moment, and maybe just to mention that all of this was funded by GIZ and as a part of a larger project. So thanks to them for this. Although that grant has ended, I know that a lot of people are planning to integrate this into their MHPSS approaches for 2024 in UNICEF anyway. I don't know if Save the Children or the collaborative has any other thoughts or knows of any other things happening.
Not to my knowledge, but hopefully now that the resource is going live and it's being shared, we hope to see more projects taking it up. But I don't know of any concrete plans.
One other thing that might be useful to mention, it's not happening yet, but it's on the plans for 2024, is through the ISC MHPSS reference group, specifically for children and families. We are hoping to put together a sort of guidance or at least resources on child-friendly spaces specifically. And this would be then included in that package of tools in the toolbox for child-friendly spaces.
We have a question in the Q&A. Do you have experience in teaming up with researchers who have used the method photo voice? Lynn is shaking her head.
I want to share also that like there are lots of amazing, I turn up in some refugee settlement and there's somebody doing a photography workshop. I did photography workshops with National Geographic. And so I don't want to claim any, the storytelling component seems to me something slightly different, but all credit to people. There are lots of people going around the world doing camera stuff with children. Quite a lot of times the emphasis is on the photography and teaching children how to take pictures, whereas here the emphasis is that a tool for connection and storytelling. That's a slight difference. But I don't want anyone to think Lynn had an original idea here. I didn't. And it can be developed in so many ways, as you've seen. And I'd love to find out more about this group that you've just mentioned, Louise. I don't know anything about them.
I don't either, but we can research. So we have time for one last question, and I have one here too. Would it be useful to have a predetermined process for tracking how this guidance is used, the results, etc., all in one place to encourage shared learning? From Victor Hugo. Anne, I think that one is for you.
I think that would be lovely. A lot of those things are usually dependent on funding. So I do think that would be great. Although I think one of the very nicest things about this package is that people can actually just pick it up and use it totally independently. And I think it would be best if we could have information on how everyone is using it. But one of the things I think is nice is that they don't actually have to be connected to the mothership in order to pick it up and go and get permissions and all of that sometimes actually ends up hindering the process of use in the long run. So it would be interesting if there was a way that we could kind of balance that on both sides. Maybe also if I could just say to the previous question, I think though the photographic storytelling piece is used in other approaches, I think it's not usually viewed as an MHPSS intervention. And so that's one of the things that I like about this approach and that we have tried to do in the manual is to really orient it to how it can be viewed as an MHPSS intervention. And a piece of that is measuring the improvement in well-being and seeing how that all improves as a piece of the child and the community's process working through it. And I haven't seen that done before, which is quite nice.
Yeah, we are being incredibly on time. Thank you for that. Those are going to be the last words, Anne, except for me thanking Husan and Lynn and Maya and Anne for joining me today to present this this resource. Thank you very much to those who participated in the webinar. We hope this resource will enter the world and be used as much as possible, because I do think it is a pretty wonderful thing. Not that I'm biased or anything. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody, and please go out and let the kids take pictures and tell their stories. We need to hear them. Thank you so much for today.